With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client, and like we did today, we install a D-box system, we install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Evening and welcome to the Precision Racing League Formula 3 series here from Spa. This wonderful race circuit tucked away in the Ardennes Mountains plays host to round 7 of this great championship that still has 2 title fights separated by only 10 and 3 points respectively. It's another great night of open wheel racing here at the PRL. Very excited to bring this one to you here tonight. My name is Ewan O'Leary. I'm alongside Lorenzo Bonda here for this one, and Spa Formula 3 cars. We've got a perfect recipe for a nice race here this evening.
Yeah, it's going to be great racing this evening, and it's hard to find a better combination than F3 Spa, high speeds, lots of overtakes at Campbell Straight going to the Lacombe section. So it's going to be a very interesting battle, but of course the everybody's views has to be on the Conor Wagner David Holland battle for the top spot in the standings.
Absolutely, it's a great fight as we're about to go and look through. This is the schedule for this season, of course. We'll be heading down to Zolder next week, which is going to be fantastic, and then finales in the North American region with that trip to Montreal, and then the Road Atlanta finale on the 25th of August. And as you just referred to there, Lorenzo, we are going to have title fights, I think, at that final race at Road Atlanta. Looking at these standings the way we have them at the moment, in the pro category, Conor Wagner is indeed leading just for now. However, it's only 10 points ahead of David Holland. The two of them had a great battle throughout the Phillip Island race last week, where Conor Wagner took some more points away. the rest behind are falling a little bit further behind, you would have to say, here at this stage of the season. And in the AM category as well, there was a great fight between championship rivals as well. Turner Scroll and also Takeshi Kita as well. Only 3 points separating those two at the moment, and only 16 points down to Ryan Puchel as well. So there's 2 title fights really up for grabs here, and we're going to try and keep our eyes on all of them at the same time. It's going to be difficult because we've had great action so far this season, and it is set to continue the way this is poised right now.
Yeah, absolutely. As we also see the team standings with the domination that Hardpoint by Delta Sport is actually doing on everybody else. Atomic Racing Proton is the closest candidate, but 66 points behind. It's quite a large margin for you to try to cover with less than half of the season to go. We're round number 7. Then you have 3 more rounds to try to compensate in the way that Holland and Wagner are doing in the championship. Is pretty much amazing. So it's going to be hard to close that gap. But I think if you really want to try to have a deciding battle after what we saw at Red Bull Ring in Phillip Island, this is Spa.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good race indeed. This is how the format works for the series. By the way, the Pro and AMs have been split up pre-season, and so we don't have to worry about that too much anymore. The open setups are going to be something that the drivers will have been worrying about a little bit throughout the week. Maximum fuel of 50%. It's not as much of a determining factor as we see in the GT3 series, for example. However, we will be expecting a pit stop throughout the race. At least we did last week at Phillip Island. At 30 minutes of an open qualifying session here. It works a little bit differently to most of the other qualifying sessions here at the Precision Racing League, but I am a fan of it, I have to say. 30 minutes, and we'll get our teeth into that in a few moments' time. And then, of course, the incident limit at the bottom there might be something to consider throughout the 40-minute race today. 13x for a drive-through, disqualified at 17 incidents here today. That could be a bit of a problem here, but we'll obviously talk about that a little bit further and dive into it a little bit deeper when we get into qualifying and, of course, the 40-minute race. Before we go any further, though, let's tell you a little bit about the sponsors that help make this coverage all possible, starting of course with VCO, our broadcast partners here at RaceSpotTV, helping to bring you every Precision Racing League event live here on this channel. It's absolutely fantastic to have them alongside us here today and throughout the season. We are, of course, also supported by Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. Bookkicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driving seat. And finally, NinjaTrader, ready to compete against the financial markets. Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides an award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Those are the guys that make our job that little bit easier here at RaceSpotTV and help us to bring you every Precision Racing League event here in 2022 for Season 3. We're in qualifying for the moment, still just over 22 minutes for these drivers to get their times in, and it's Rod Clinard who's currently got the best time by nearly a second ahead of Justin Negret. Then it's Caleb Petrie, as you can just see on your screen right now, in that third position. But I want to circle back a little bit here, Lorenzo. We saw on that format page there the incident limit. 13 incidents for a drive-through around here, 17 for a disqualification. Now, I know that the off-tracks aren't as severe as they used to be. It's not old-school iRacing anymore. Yep. However, it must be in the back of their minds.
It does. And you pretty much hit something that is we have to be mindful of. The track limits in Spa, it's more aggressive now. You can use much more of the curbs, the AstroTurf as well, especially, for example, the exit of Jack X corner, the changing between Stabilo to the Curve Pro Frere. You can basically grind the AstroTurf curbing that is in the left-hand side, transitioning to the Pro Frere, so you can be more aggressive. But it's so easy to grab an off-track, for example, at Lecombs. It's so easy in the entry or exit as soon as you're trying to make the transition, especially on the second leg. So if you're not paying attention, especially if you're within very close battles, which happen quite a lot over here in Spa, it's something that can decide your race. But I think there will be a bigger factor, I think, in this race other than the track limits, which I think will be the fuel. I think the fuel is going to be more important than track limits itself if we're talking about race strategies and how you maintain your race here.
Yeah, it could well be. I mean, there's obviously lots of opportunity for drafting and closing up to cars in front of you, etc. We're going to see a lot of that, especially on lap 1. That's going to be a big talking point. I remember doing this is a bit of an anecdote, but bear with me. I remember doing a Friday night prime time when we were doing the F3 cars or similar open wheel. I think it was these F3s, and the run up towards Le Combe was absolutely insane on lap 1, and there ended up being quite a big crash. We hope, obviously, we don't get the sour ending that we did on that day. However, will be.
Don't worry, it's you saying, not me.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. We might be all right, but yeah, I mean, we hope that we get a clean run through this time. But it is going to be a concern for all of these drivers. It doesn't really matter where you qualify in this. For me, the leader is going to be in trouble no matter how good of a La Source they have. It doesn't matter how much, of a La Source they have and how far they're in front on pole. It doesn't matter. You're going to get drafted on the Kemmel Straight on the first lap, and that's going to be a concern for whoever's on pole here. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, you're hunted basically from the start finish line all. Let's see, even after Lecombe, you can go into Brussels and you still get hunted. You're still gonna get a lot of draft, because if there's one thing about these F3 cars, they generate draft. They generate massive amounts of draft. You can be like a 1 second behind in 1.1, 1.2, and still be able to catch within the draft. You'd be, of course, on the very boundaries of the drafting range, but that is enough for you to start getting quicker and quicker and better speeds, and probably try to follow the other guys through the turn. So it's going to be an interesting thing to notice whenever the packs start separating, maybe after lap 3 or 4.
Yeah, we'll start to see a bit of a proper race forming after that point, rather than a bit of a mob as we might get towards the start. Rob Clinton is still leading this qualifying session, by the way. Still got a long way to go, so we'll be able to really talk through and preview this race properly here in what is one of the longer qualifying sessions that we have here in any PRL session. It's normally quite quick and a lone qualifying as well. However, in the Formula 3 series, we have a bit longer, but also you have to deal with the traffic. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. There's 27 cars out there today, which is not too bad at all. However, this is quite a large circuit at just over 7 kilometres, and so you should be fine to find that little bit of track space as Kevin Sandiego goes over the line at the moment. Not quite able to improve on that 2-minute 11.6 right now. So you referred to it there, Lorenzo. 30 minutes is a long time in terms of qualifying, as we see a car just going off the road through the campus chicane, or whatever one you want to call this chicane. But you've got to think about how long this Spa circuit is. Even a driver who's having to come into the pit lane with about 4 minutes to go. Now, I know you do get to carry on after the flag here in this session. However, you've got to think of it, you've got to back time this session a little bit early, because it's a long lap, and you're not going to be able to get as many laps in as you might at other circuits. Even Phillip Island last week would have been less of a struggle than it will be today.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because the good thing is that you have this long qualifying, but the problem is for you to keep yourself. I think Spa of all tracks in this season is the one that you're probably gonna have the biggest difficulty trying to carry the, what we would say, the heat in the tires from the out lap then into the in lap. And of course, we know the car gets better, much better as the run goes on. Maybe like after the second, third lap, when the car is at its lightest and the grip are already developed in the car, and if you're not overdriving it, you can get faster laps. But Spa is one of those difficult tracks that finding consistency over here is things that in finding that fast time, like for example, what Rots has done, is probably one of the hardest things you can do in sim racing. There's not many people who knows where the right braking zones are and things like that. I posted, I think, a top 15 in the F Renault back in the day, but the transitioning for the Renaults to this is so much complicated, and the braking zones are so much more different as you try to carry as much speed as you can through the corners.
It is very dynamic. It's a little bit wide. Sorry, Lorenzo. Sorry, for Brad Millett. So I don't know if you were still talking there. You did cut out briefly.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, that's all right. Yeah, Brad Miller just gliding through the bus stop chicane just that little bit. Conor Wagner, by the way, the championship leader, still hasn't posted a lap time yet. We're nearly halfway in. Well, I say that. He's just done one now. There it is, second place, and he's right up to speed, as you would expect. His championship rival, David Holland, not here at the moment. I don't think will be taking the start by the looks of things at the moment. So that's a bit of a blow for him, because he's already non-started at round 4 of the season. Wasn't able to attend one of the races that was at Alton Park on that day. Conor Wagner took full advantage, winning that one. But this is going to be a real points loss now, because the drop week is now out of effect. He's already using his drop week in effect for that 0 points. So David Holland has certainly got his work cut out now for the remaining 3 rounds. He's going to lose a lot of points today. It's difficult to see Conor Wagner really messing up too badly. And of course, his drop week at the moment is worth 33 points. So if he has a bad round, then Wagner will in effect get 33 points added to his score whatever happens today. And that's not good news for Holland.
No, absolutely not. And we also have to take into account what happened at Red Bull Ring. He basically got his slowdown by going to the red AstroTurf in the final lap, and by doing that, he just couldn't get it off in time as he crossed the line. Went from first place all the way down to 11th. If I recall correctly, it was 11th or something like that. And basically threw his championship off, as we see Tyler Campbell trying to build up some heat in the tires, going sideways as he prepared to go into Blanchimont. And like you said, a very long lap, and we were saying, I think, Brad Miller. My case about Brad Miller, I think going to the bus stop is probably the most complicated corner you can go in this track, because you really don't know where the proper braking zone is, and where you're going to throw the car for an effective lap.
Yes, it is tricky. Tyler Campbell, by the way, you just briefly saw it there. One of the best face cams I've ever seen in sim racing, actually, with the realism in the background. He even had the background moving last week, but not on this occasion. Gone for the stationary background on this occasion. I'm sure we'll be seeing a bit more of Campbell a little bit later on, and his face cam. But here he is making his way up Eau Rouge and Radion once again, as we go back to Justin Negret in the 66 car in that 6th position right now. A couple of more notable absentees as well to just tell you about. Joey Tebbin, despite the fact he's not commentating, is still feeding us information before the session, so a big thanks to him once again. A couple of notable absentees being James Carter, who's still in the UK as he was last week for the first time in 3 years since before COVID, so he's taking advantage of that at the moment and staying there for now. Won't be racing. And Stephen Ridders is also I think away on holiday at the moment, so yeah, both of those will be absentees from the race here today, after previously appearing. Ridders actually did have a pretty good run out last time out, was 16th overall in the end. Yeah, I don't know what that is in AM. He was about what is it? About 6th in the AM category on that particular day, so didn't do too badly on that particular occasion. And we'll hopefully be seeing him again in the weeks to come. As we go back to Brett Furman here on board once again with the 69 car, and just making his way out of the curb pour frere and towards the bus stop chicane. Blanchimont, not something you really have to think about in these cars, Lorenzo, but bus stop certainly something that will make or break your lap, and will break your next one if you get it wrong.
Oh yeah, imagine if you were in a motion rig and you completely missed the braking and the entry into the bus stop. It wouldn't be pleasant at all. Let's see how Brett deals with this. I think it's a little bit late. Yeah, way too late. Has to go deep into the braking, overcommitting to the corner, missed the first leg, and the apex has to go into second leg. I think you lose about a half a second to a full second as the number 69 goes around the corner and puts up a very slow lap, not the one he wanted, and probably gonna have to reset for another lap as he kind of misses the source of the injury.
He did actually improve on that lap, so it just show there is still time in that car just yet.
Okay.
So yeah, we might be able to see him maybe get nearer to Nimrigopoulos at the moment, who's currently in that first position in the standings in the AM category. Of course, he is one of the drivers up there in the GT3 series that we have on Tuesday nights at RaceSpotTV in the Precision Racing League. It's great to see him participate in that one and doing so well very often. He's fighting for a championship in that one, not really involved in the fight here, although he's only 47 points back with 4 races to go. It is still possible, I suppose, but it is very much a long shot for Nick from there. He'll be looking at maybe getting a race win here out of his season, and he'll be pretty pleased if he was to be able to do that and repeat the race win that he's already got at the Suzuka, of course, a little bit earlier on this season. So you never know. Pole position is not a bad way to start at all. I guess it must be encouraging. Sorry, just to go back to Brett Furman, it must be encouraging to improve in your time, having had that bus stop chicane that he did just have. There is definitely time remaining in this car and time in this AM category yet, because yeah, there's a lot of strong drivers up here at the moment, and they're all relatively close. So let's see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And see if he hasn't got any penalties or off tracks. Like, you can get at the exit of Pro Frere. If you went a little bit more to the left, you can actually get an off track incident over there that completely botches your lap. You're gonna have to reset all over again. But this is where it's key. Again, going through Blanchimont, carrying all that speed, going to the curbing, and then setting your car to the left hand side. Let's see if he doesn't miss the apex this time around.
Bit of a lock-up, and he's not quite on the apex, maybe as much as you'd like. However, it was a bit better than last time. Let's see if the lap time is any better. It's not, unfortunately. 3 temps away really for Furman, but he's going again. I find it interesting actually that these guys are just going for the strategy of just getting out there and smashing lap after lap after lap. They're not interested in doing one lap and coming back in.
No, because like I said, the car gets progressively better as the car gets lighter, and it takes about 5 minutes within driving the car consistently and cleanly, so you can actually build up the grip, and the car really becomes fast. It really picks up the grip, and you can do basically qualifying pacing lap tests. Kita goes for a better lap by 8 thousandths of a second from his previous lap, and still a little bit far, about 3 tenths of a second from the AM leaders, and we're going to see now Brian Lowe going around the corner.
Another driver into the bus stops again, another driver going a little bit wide, unfortunately, there for the 43, but doesn't need too much for an improvement. Need to maybe even get in the top 5 if he can, but he's not going to be able to with that lap there, just a couple of temps down. Ross Cato there, I believe, getting away actually from a little bit of an incident at Stavelot there. His line didn't quite look right going into the curb Paul Frere, but I'm not entirely sure whether he'd been off the road. There certainly doesn't look to be any damage on the car, and it's something worth talking about as well with the damage. We do have the new damage model on the cars. I have to say it's very satisfying to watch, and it's very realistic and very nice to have it in iRacing. But hopefully we'll be seeing limited examples of it here in this race.
I surely do hope so. Wow, you say it's nice to see, but trust me, I've driven F3s long enough to notice these cars, they don't like damage. If you get a damage, especially on the side, usually you're not going to be able to recover back. I think it's kind of like being safe to take a very careful approach. Let's see how Brett Miller goes. A little bit of a wiggle on the entry. Looks lean, still second gear, but the second leg, I think he has to slow down a little bit more to avoid it spinning around. And his lap, a little bit of an improvement looks like from his previous lap. But I think it was invalidated.
I think so. I think you're right. I think there was an off track somewhere as Leo Ho Ying Lun is really pushing out of Stavolo there, and Lung's going to try and maybe push himself onto the front row with this lap, although there's a big gap between Clinard, Wagner and the rest of the field as well at this point. Needs 0.7 of a second to push onto that front row, but definitely a top 3 looking possible for the driver of the number 7 here. Down towards the bus stop chicane, braking as late as you possibly dare. Throw yourself across these curves, but not quite the sausage curves, of course. Dash towards the line as well on this short run, keep to the right hand side, and it's a slight improvement, very marginal, but it doesn't get him any positions at this point. And this is the problem, I guess, if you want to call it a problem, with the kind of longer session. The drivers are of such a standard that they actually do reach a bit of a brick wall at some point in the session where they actually cannot go any faster with this car track and setup combination anymore, because they actually have nailed a lap time at the end of half an hour.
Oh yeah, and especially in a track like this, I think Spa is a perfect example. For example, you do a very fast lap. Let's just say Ling did 2:11.185, and you might be thinking, no, where can I improve on that lap? You would have to look on the replay, then try to check back what Clinard and Wagner have done, try to see good points around the track. As Overbay, I think, went way too wide into the Stavolo curbing on the exit and has canceled his lap, so he's probably gonna have an out lap and then a fast lap to try to turn that thing in. Let's see Turner Scholl, P5 in the AM, saying he's here. Even to see what he's gonna do next. A little bit of a transition on the gearing to try to avoid massive spinning around the car. Into third, does he get enough track over there? Doesn't look like it, but it was very close.
Looks like he's got a fair amount of understeer in that car, unless he's just putting a lot of lock in for some reason. But that seemed like an awful lot of steering lock to be putting into that Stavolo corner. I always hesitate to criticise these drivers, to be fair, because I know that I could do no better. But that did look like a lot of rotation to me. We'll be seeing a lot of lock into the slower bus stop chicanes, of course, if we ever get slowed down. It does always amaze me how late you can brake in these cars. So good on the brakes down in towards the bus stop chicane, pulling it up in time, and Turner not able to quite improve any on that lap time there. As I mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, only 3 points separate him and Takeshi Kita, but one thing that's really encouraging to me about the AM category and the AM fight that we're seeing in the championship this season is the fact that it's not just we're getting a bit of a two driver fight. Obviously Ryan Puccielli is there as well, but we're getting a bit of a 2 driver fight, but they're not finishing 1 and 2 every single race. They're spread amongst the pack, and they're fighting in amongst everybody else. It's a great championship fight at the moment in both categories, especially the AM at the moment. I'm really enjoying looking at the AM Championship and seeing where it's going to go, because it's got all the recipe to go down right to the wire.
Yeah, it does, and you can see from the lap times, I think there is a little bit more of a balance in terms of in comparison to the pro drivers, where you see there is a little bit of a wider gap. You have the Delta Sports Show in P1 and P2. Well, they are one of the main teams in F3s overall in the iRacing service. We've commentated them quite a lot in our F3 broadcast about 3-4 seasons ago. So we know how fast they are, but I like this closeness that the AM driver have, and how they keep very close. They're racing. Rebel Ring, when I commented, was a perfect example. Phillip Island as well. Of course, there is the attrition factor that is normal in these F3 cars, but other than that, it's always exciting for us to see.
Well, this is a bit interesting now. Something we really haven't touched on so far is the possibility of helping each other out with a bit of a draft, maybe. Now, I'm not entirely sure if there are 3 teammates lined up here, or there are just 3 red cars, but that could be something. We're getting into the final minutes now, 3 minutes to go. As I mentioned, it's not normal iRacing qualifying session in the fact that when we hit 0, that is actually it. You do get to complete the lap you're on. So, I'm wondering, is this a last gasp attempt to get the 598 of Caleb Patry into that front row position? Because this has got all the look to me of a team possibly trying to help a driver with a bit of a draft.
Which would be weird. Who's ahead of him on the standings right now? That's Rod Clinard and Connor Wagner. Who was he drafting? Leonard and Wagner. So I don't know if he's helping them or not.
No, I don't know.
I'm on the wall on this one.
I don't know either, especially since that Keller Petrie has got no official team actually next to his name. He's not actually entered into a team championship. He's just a standalone driver. So I think you're right. I think they were just running quite close together as things stand. This is Tyler Campbell, though. He's just within a second of the leader right now and making his way towards the line. It's getting quite congested as these drivers try and make their way over the line and improve one more time. It's no improvement this time for Campbell, but this is pretty much last chance saloon for everybody now. Last 2 minutes of the session. And these drivers will be starting their final lap times. All the pressure will start to come down to this, especially with Clinard and Wagner out there at the moment, separated by only a tenth of a second. They've both got a chance to overhaul the other in the final moment.
Yeah, and for Wagner, I think this is a race where he's going to build up a buffer on David Holland, so he needs to keep up that momentum going. And I think he's doing that after getting a win. Basically in the Rebel Ring and Phillip Island as well, so building up that confidence to try to move forward. Let's see if what Wagner does in his final fast lap, and if he is the final, if it isn't, because I think they have another opportunity if they cross the line before the time stops, if it is going to be fast.
This is Kevin Santana, just outside the top 10 in terms of pro drivers, but he's half a second away at the moment from Chablis, who is in that 10th place, excuse me, in the pro standings, 11th overall. You can just see behind Nick McLaughlin at the moment. So close in Am, though. It's behind the 62 anyway. Really, really close. At the moment, Kevin Santana trying to remove himself from all of that at the moment and get in front of a few of them off the start, because we don't split pro and am drivers at all. We let them go how they qualify. So Santana will need to make up some overall places here, even if he's not going to make up any positions in class you wouldn't expect. Over the line now for the man in 17th at the moment. He's going to make a load of places. There it is. He moves inside the top 10 in pro to 11th overall. That is very encouraging indeed. As we look at Caleb Petrie making his way down towards the final chicane right now. The checkered flag is now waving. This is his last chance. Clinard and Wagner both in the pit lane. They're not improving, but Petrie might in the 5.98. He does ever so slightly, but it's not enough to get anything else out of this session, and it looks like he had an off track anyway. So no real late improvements. You've got to take your hat off to Santana, though, for that late one there. He really did arguably save his race a little bit because he was properly in the danger zone.
And Overby got an off track by going into the AstroTurf at Blanchimont. Looks like he can get one over there. Yeah,
maybe.
Totally did.
Yeah, he did. You're right. He did indeed. As we look at Nick McLaughlin, good qualifying for him. I mean, almost a lap of honour for him at this point. He can celebrate the pole and then knuckle down for this race, of course.
Yeah, I want to say that. I want to see if Kita's actually doing a lap. I think that would be probably one of his best performances in qualifying. And Nate just decided to go for a spin around at the bus stop. And then a crash.
Smack into the wall. There's Kevin Santana as well, who's still out there at the moment. One of the only drivers at the moment, actually. Frankie Arvello, by the way, did not qualify here in this session. Not entirely sure if that was due to a ban or whether he just decided not to, but you never know. Kevin Santana, though, makes his way off towards the gravel. He will end that session there. Max Chablis as well might try and improve here. We'll see if he can at all. Here at this stage, out through the Curb Paul Frere and towards Blanchimont as well, using all of the road. These F3 cars don't really need to. They've got the downforce and the speed to actually go through there flat out without actually using all the road like we saw throughout the Spa 24 hours and during the Spa GT3 race here at the PRL we had earlier this season, where it was a little bit less comfortable. However, these F3s do cope with it rather well. Into the final chicane goes Chablis now in the 14 car. Oh, big a bit of a slide on the exit, pushing absolutely to the maximum. And he will improve by a couple of tenths of a second. Will it count? It will.
Oh, yeah.
And it's 8th place. So a nice improvement there from Chablis, who saved the best till last for him. So a nice qualifying from him, but not quite as nice as Rod Clinard's. He takes the pole position here and he'll be leading the field away here in this Precision Racing League Formula 3 Series race at Spa. Conor Wagner, the championship leader in Pro, will be alongside him, with Caleb Patry and Leo Ying Lung, in the 4th place. Tyler Campbell rounds out the top 5. Justin Negret will be in the 6th place, with Michael Overbay and Max Chablis on the 4th row together. Steve Gurry will be on the 9th position, and rounding out the top 10 will be Kevin San Diego. Nick McLaughlin in the first AM car will be in that 11th place out of Kevin Santana. 13th will be Takeshi Kita, then it's going to be Ryan Puchel at 3rd in the AM standings, 3rd in the AM field here off the start. Brett Furman will be 15th out of Turner Scroll, the AM Championship leader. Richard Swindells will be in 17th place ahead of Guillaume Potvin. Then it's going to be Jerry Tevin, our very own, ahead of Brian Lowe, rounding out the top 20. Blake Ziti will be 21st out of Brad Miller. And then it is going to be, Peter Newhook. Then it's going to be Ross Cadu as well in the 23rd place. Brad Miller, Adam McDonald, Lucio Vargas, and Frankie Arvello round out your 27 car grid. Arvello didn't qualify there, that's why he's not on your order, but I believe he will be taking the start. These drivers then, Lorenzo, have only got a minute or so to get themselves on the grid and get themselves ready and get themselves for a battle of Lecombe, which is what it's going to be in about 30 seconds' time.
Ooh, I just hope they know that Lecombe is dangerous and they don't crash it out on the first lap. We know F3 can get very aggressive at the start, especially if you really get a good launch on the start. So just praying they don't fall into the very traditional spot from Champ trap of racing.
We'll see what's going to transpire up that famous Kemmel Straight and towards those infamous corners. We look back here from one of the GQ Engineering cars at the moment and see the field just getting themselves on the grid, getting themselves ready. It'll be a 40-minute race, of course, here, as always, here in the Precision Racing League Formula 3 Series. Standard procedure, but what is going to be the outcome of this race? Until it's getting close now as the almost panicked drivers get themselves onto the grid, but they'll know exactly what they're doing at this point and just be psyching themselves up really for what is going to be a run down towards La Source. First of all, we have overlooked that a little bit. We've seen many incidents there in real life and in sim in the past, so let's see what's going to happen here. Racing at Spa in the Formula 3 Series of the Precision Racing League. The red lights are on and they go out with Conor Wagner trying to take this lead away at the moment on the outside line. He's not quite got good enough start to do it on the inside line. What is Rock Clinard, who we've already got Tyler Campbell around. Remarkably, he's the only driver to receive damage on the one towards La Source. That could have gone a lot worse for all of the drivers in behind. They single file themselves out and they string themselves out actually. It's not quite as much of a pack as maybe we anticipated and maybe we feared. They go up over Rouge Radion for the first time and they run up the Kemmel Straight. They fan out 2 wide. It will be 3 wide before you know it as well. And they're very nearly making contact. The top 4 or 5 though, taking things calmly. It's more in the background, in the Anfield, where things are side by side. Everybody's sorted themselves out though. Tyler Campbell, the only unfortunate victim from that first lap.
Yeah, and that was self-inflicted by Tyler Campbell, just going on the brakes way too deep into La Source and self-crashed. Luckily for him, held the brakes enough to just be on the apex, and everybody avoided it in time. And they did not fall for the spot trap, which makes me a whole lot happy.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic thing to see this start of the race going the way that it has. And they run down towards the campus chicane for the first time, side by side in the background there between Max Chablis and Nick McLaughlin. That's not a battle for actual position, it's pro versus am. McLaughlin's had a great start to this race here. He's actually made a couple of places, although straight away into the wall. Nick McLaughlin, from the leader of the am race, is out on lap 1. The rear right gone. He doesn't know it yet, but that will be the end of his day.
Wow, just and the traditional clip in the grass or clip in the sand, just turn into the car, and you can see the face of disappointment of Nick and knowing that his race gone in shambles. And we see more crashes now with Profrere.
Frankie be Arvello as well as Lucio Vargas, I think that is, who's also gone around, and Michael Overbay also around as we've got a change for the lead. Conor Wagner trying to take the lead away from Rod Clinard, who's on the outside line, and he's not going to contest. Going down towards La Source, he falls in behind for the moment. What a chaotic first lap. We thought it was all going to happen in the first sector. In the end, it was everywhere else where all the stuff happened, and it was a remarkably chaotic first lap, and it was one that Conor Wagner took the lead of this race. Will Rod Clinard let him just walk away with that one? You wouldn't imagine so. He might try and take this one away again immediately. He's so close to the rear wing of the car in front. However, he's going to stay behind and almost give him a little bit of assistance up the Kemmel Straight for the second time of asking, and the two leaders have fallen into somewhat of an agreement.
Yeah, well, their teammates, and I said this on the Red Bull Ring. What is rule number 1 of racing, Mr. Ewan O'Leary?
Don't hit your teammate.
What is rule number 2?
Don't hit your teammate again.
Yeah, precisely. So they probably know what they're doing, and even the fact that Wagner has been in the situation before, battling with David Holland on Red Bull Ring, and they nearly came to blows on the final lap and nearly took each other out, and eventually Holland got a black flag in very last corner of the race, and his race finished. But let's see what happened to Nick McLaughlin over here. Ewan, just going through the pit path, too much center rotation in the car, acceleration as well, and bam, into the wall and race over pretty much for the AM leader.
And this is also what happened a little bit behind. Blake Ziti involved in an incident. He's gone back to the pit lane. He's already out of this race, actually, is Ziti. Let's see what happened to him through the curb pull flare. Oh, gets hit from behind, and there's a big free car incident here, and he's going to get collected. They all go across the road, and somebody gets collected. I think that was Arvello, who made a great start. That was a big accident involving 4 cars. I can tell you, by the way, 7 drivers have had to come in at the end of that lap there. 4 of them didn't make it back to the pit lane on all 4 wheels. Michael Overbay seemed to have been one of them, I think this is, who's gone around, sat in the middle of the road and I think that actually wasn't Overbay, that was someone else. But 4 drivers couldn't even make it to the end of the first lap. 3 others came in after only 1 lap. That includes Tyler Campbell, who came in after only 1 lap. Here and spun after barely a corner here in this race. So that was very chaotic indeed, but it was very interesting to see that all the action happening not where we expected it. It was the first sector that I was fearing in particular, but that curb pull flare was really destructive for 4 drivers in the end, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I really wanted to look from another perspective, because it doesn't look like there was a little bit of a miscommunication as Clinard now goes into the lead. Petrie under attack from Negrad, and Negrad going ahead now into the Lecum. Can he hold that 3rd position, Negrad? Yeah, he does. So Negrad now into 3rd position.
Nice move. He's actually been making some great progress as Negrad in this race so far. Started in 6th place. Ross Cado might have been the driver who got collected here. Now you can't see anyway. Oh, there's smoke everywhere. The car in front of him gets collected. Good avoidance from Cado there, but I mean, what can you do when you're sat in that position? That's driver's eye view. That's what you can see. All it is smoke, and you know that there's 3 cars for you to hit, 3 mobile chicanes for you to hit, and they're all race-ending impacts. So there's almost nothing you can do.
Yeah, but I think for Cado's, of course, advantage, he also comes from a NASCAR background. We see him on the RSR pretty much on Mondays, right? So he knows to drive around a NASCAR car, and NASCAR can get much more much more close these kind of crashes and try to deviate from the car. So that experience that probably helped Cato be more confident, know what to do following, as we see Guyori now try to battle for position against Lynn.
Yeah, I think there definitely is something in that. The frequency with which you have to avoid incidents like that in the NASCAR scene, and similar categories as well on ovals, for example, I think maybe does play a part in that kind of driving, as Guri gets very close to the back of Lung, just up in front there, as we got side by side for the lead in Am. Turner Scroll has made his way to the front already. He's ahead of Brian Pruchel already in this race. 3 laps into this race. The 4 car has gone from struggling inside the top 5, in the bottom end of the top 5, to leading in a very short space of time.
Yeah, and if you look also, the gaps between the AM class are not far from one another. Scott and Puchtel are close about 4/10 of a second separating one another. Then you got Low and Keita battling for position as well. We could see a move for P3 in the AM class coming, so double change for positions coming up in a little bit.
See, side by side again, and Pujol is going to try and get away here by just drafting past, although staying side by side for a long time here. Open setup, of course, and wing balance and wing angle, will be taking a bit of an advantage or disadvantage depending on the way you've got them, as Brian Lowe and Takeshi Kita also go side by side through Lecom in the background there. I just wonder whether Pujol here and Scroll are going to fall into a bit of an alliance for the next 5 laps or so, just to try and get away from the rest of the Anfield and then fight about this later, because if they fight all guns blazing right now, then they could have a 5-car leading battle on their hands and maybe more. So if they're smart about this, I think they should try and help each other out for the next few laps at least, and then fight later.
I agree. I probably would try to bump draft or wing draft. They can do these around Spa. I think we saw VCO Infinity, we saw it other places. This is not a new strategy you can do around these cars, so see what these guys are going to do. But Low and Kita cut the deficit on a little bit in terms of gap, so I think the fact that Show might have gone wide in a few turns might have helped the cause, but nevertheless still holding up a steady gap to the 3 cars up behind.
What they need to do at the moment. Brian Lowe, Takeshi Kita and Joey Tebben just in this fight at the moment for the final spot in the AM podium, running down towards the bus stop now, and Kita's got a bit of a run here. See if he uses it. Well, Brian Lowe's going to defend it either way, whether he intended to use it or not. You wonder what the kind of alliance is going to be here in this particular group. Always we got side by side between Negret and Patry, and here's Leung as well, just getting involved side by side on the exit of La Source. It's a nice run from Patry, who's going to make his way through nicely. Gets past on the run down towards Eau Rouge and Radiant. These 3 covered by a blanket on the run up these most famous corners in motorsport, arguably, and now up the Kemmel Straight as well. There's surely maybe 3 wide, surely maybe a bit of a 3 wide moment. Lung tries to go middle. There's barely any gap there, but he's gone for it. He wants this podium and he wants it now. Inside line towards Lecom. The commitment there was total and the rewards were high as well. Lung goes from 5th to 3rd with a very, very ballsy move.
Wow, that's an understatement, Mr. Iwanoli. Oh my God. Well, but props and respect from the other drivers, from Negret and Patry as well, to yield a little bit of space for Luke to go through. As we see more battle now in the back a little bit, as Keita now has to try to go for the battle against Low. He has the inside going to Jack Geek's corner. Tibet not far behind. Good scrap for 3rd position in the AM class.
It is a good fight, and this is going to allow McDonald to get involved as well here. He's not too far behind these cameras here at the moment. Adam McDonald just closing in at the moment with Brett Thurman as well, quite possibly. But Tebben's got front seats in the house for this fight between Lowe and Keita at the moment. We saw it a couple of laps ago, the 2 of them going side by side for a little bit. It allowed Tebben to catch up initially, and now he's here. He's really got front row seats to watch the fight unfold, and so has Adam McDonald now as he closes in. And speaking of closing in, Greori also doing that in 6th place in the 56 car. Going up in the draft through Blanchimont towards the bus stop chicane, not able to do it for the moment. These groups are very, very close, I have to say, behind the 2 leaders, of course, who are getting away from the rest.
Yeah, but and also you just saw over there Patry just missing the corner on the entry on the first leg, so lost about 0.2 of a second on the transition from the first leg to the second leg, and that allows the number 66 of Negret to come closer and closer around the source. Will he run wide? Yeah, he might not get a off track on this one, but get ready, boys and girls. We're going to see another battle for position coming up once again.
It's not surprising. Up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radiant. This is Spa Racing in the Formula 3 series at the Precision Rating League. What more could you want at the moment? Negret in the slipstream, looking to make his way through once again. There's no waiting around here. There's no bump drafting. There's no alliances being formed here. They're all just battling it out at the moment. Around the outside through Lecom. It's all gone wrong though. Spins around and gets hit. That's the rear wing gone. And that might be damage to Guri as well. in that car. It's going to be the end of the day for Negret, I'm afraid. He was contesting a podium there, but he'll be in the pit lane repairing damage now. So unfortunate for him.
Yeah, totally unfortunate, but I think let's see a look on the replay. There's a little bit of a commitment from on the inside from Petrie, but I think Negret just ran way too wide, overcommitted into the outside. But I thought that Petrie was gonna, you know, have a little bit of an understeer moment and be very close between both cars. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and might have caught Negret by surprise in the transition from the first leg to the second leg of the chicane.
Unfortunate to see, but I don't think anybody could have really done anything about it. But hey, that's racing sometimes. Aguirre now has got his hands full a little bit with Kevin Sandiego and Max Chablis as well, trying to make their way through up towards Blanchimont, and you just see Aguirre just pulling off there. I wonder if he's got damage there in the 56, because that was abnormal amount of cars going through up towards Blanchimont there. It doesn't look very much visible damage, but as you said earlier, a little bit of damage can affect quite a lot.
I think it looks like the wing is bent. Yeah, he's going to the pit lane. Not surprised at all.
Such a shame as there's even suspension damage actually.
Yeah.
Steve Aguirre. I didn't foresee that actually with the contact that was made, but actually there is, and I'm afraid that is also going to be the end of a good point scoring finish, I'm afraid, for Aguirre. That's a real shame once again, a real shame. However, it's the way it goes sometimes in that 56 car. I'm a little bit surprised by the attrition we've seen so far actually. We've seen a fair amount of drivers out of the race, unfortunately, and it's not really slowing down as the race spreads out. We're still seeing a few incidents here and there.
Yeah, but again, it's F3. It's a little bit of a late block coming in from Chablis going into the corner, and Kevin Sandiego trying to go for the move, but just didn't have no room whatsoever. And again, a little bit of a block from Chablis going into the corner.
Nice side-by-side racing again down towards Bruxelles. Kevin Santana looking to get in on the action as well, but he's not going to be able to pass Kevin Sandiego anytime soon, because he makes his way through into that 5th position now, and these positions are becoming worth it quite a lot at this stage. They're gaining places left, right and centre due to the attrition, as we were just talking about, of this race so far. Diego making his way into 5th for the moment. Chablis just in behind Santana as well. That's Ryan Purcell as well, you can see not too far behind, with Turner Scroll a little bit further down than maybe we saw last time we had a camera shot of him. Not entirely sure what that was down to. However, he's lost out in a bit of time there as we're coming to complete lap 7. 10 laps to go of this race coming up very soon, coming up to the half distance as well. In what has been a very entertaining race so far, and the battles don't really show many signs of slowing down.
Oh, absolutely. I think the only way it slows down over here is if you really got a bad crash or something like that. Let's see now how Kita bounces back from the fact that he wasn't able to overtake Brian Lowe from the past, I think, 2, 3, 4 laps, and he's trying. Kita is trying. Let's see if he's going to dive on the inside. Looks like he has the run, but decided to hang back a little bit and wait for the mistake.
Want to embark on an incident there, so he's just going to bide his time and wait for a better chance, and you can be sure that a better chance is coming here. Maybe a look down the inside even here into La Source. Don't see very many moves here with the Kemmel Straight beckoning just afterwards, and this is exactly why. You saw him on the inside line there. Lorenzo just compromises his run all the way up the Kemmel Straight, and now he might not even have a chance at the most obvious choice now.
Yeah, killed the momentum a little bit as you see McDonald and Thurman over here battling for position as well for the AM classes. Also Santana now also joined the fray and makes the move a second move. 2 for 1.
Move.
Let's go.
The double move from Santana nearly pulled off, but Diego wanting to just hold on to this one at the moment. Around the outside through Malmedy, trying to hang on, and it's surely going to run out for him here. It's a long way around the outside at Bruxelles, and so he's going to just tuck in behind for now. These double moves are becoming quite popular. Lung managed to get that 3rd place with a 3 wide through the middle move. Santana's obviously was not quite through the middle of 3 wide, but it still was a nice double overtake into Lecombe.
Yeah, nice. I really want to look at the replay to see what Santana has done in this case in comparison to the other two, but it's still close to call as we see San Diego try to go on the outside through fifth path, cuts back, goes back into the line, and Chablis just cannot make any moves with that. Look who's a little bit behind them. Pushtel also coming in as the leader of the AM class, looking to join the frame mate as a 4-car scrap.
Yeah, I have to say it's not great news for him, because if he gets involved here, he'll be slowing himself down, and Turner Scroll will be not too far behind him at all. So Puccio would really rather get on with this at the moment, but of course they're not going to. They're fighting possibly harder than they have done all race so far. Looking to the outside is Kevin San Diego at the moment. That would be spectacular, but maybe a little bit foolish at this stage of the race. Maybe saving that one for later. He goes to the outside of the bus stop chicane instead, although there's contact. Oh, Chablis just braking slightly too late. Diego, I think, was braking a little bit early so that he could maybe get a run out of the bus stop chicane into La Source and set himself up nicely for the next lap. However, Chablis was not expecting that and just ran straight into the back of him.
Yeah, perfect. That was a perfect analysis from you. Even I would have said the same thing, you know, just I would have done the same, but I think Chablis just caught it up by surprise and in there. Up.
So a real shame to see for Chablis and also Diego as well, who went around. I mean, it's hard to blame Chablis too much. He was just caught off guard, but I know a lot of people will be saying, well, he's got to be more aware in that situation, but I don't know what else he can do other than try and read someone else's mind. He's really in a very difficult situation there.
No, absolutely, and it's so hard to analyze what are you going to do, and being the third car back, you have to think about these two guys in front. You have to think about the car back that is coming as fast as possible and on your rear wing, and by doing that, if you cannot do the split-second decision of either trying to hang back or try to brake as closely as possible to the guy ahead of you, you can easily ruin your whole race, and then somebody else's. And that's probably what happened over there with San Diego, because I think his car looks a little bit loose. There is no aerodynamical damage for that number 88.
Yeah, let's hope that the damage is minimal, if there is indeed any at all. I saw Diego actually rejoining there, by the way. He caught Turner Scroll off guard ever so slightly, or he was caught off guard by the presence of the Ford car, depending on which way you look at it, I suppose. The two of them nearly came into contact for a second time in a couple of corners there for the 88, but thankfully that did not happen, and there's a bit of a change for the lead. Rob Clinard gives up the lead to Conor Wagner, as we see Chablis giving up that position to the man who he ran into the back of, only this time last lap. So they're exchanging positions, all nice, very cordial exchanging of positions. This is how the lead changed, though. This wasn't a cordial changing of position. This was a mistake from Rod Clinard, and I wasn't expecting that.
Same. But then again, it's the bus stop, so I wouldn't be surprised if even the top-level driver misses the apex entry and the fast downshifting in these cars, so you can try to carry the speed around the first leg. So it proves that even if you are a top-notch individual, you can even make mistakes, as pit stops are already in effect. Chablis, the first one in.
And off the road also. Who is this at the moment? 5 car, I think that is.
Kita.
It's McDonald. I think it's Adam McDonald, I think. He's already been in the pit lane this race, and he's just exited now, making his pit stop for the day. But not having a great time of things down at the bus stop chicane. I can tell you, by the way, 8 cars are either out of the race or severely delayed in this one, by the way. It's been very, very attritional. Most of those cars came within the first lap of the race. We've had 2 subsequent ones, but after that it's been pretty nice. That wasn't nice for Adam McDonald. That was a wild ride, actually.
Luckily, no damage in the car. You can get damage from the transitioning on those sausage curbs.
Let's hope that he got away without the severe damage that you can gather. These are the 2 leaders, though, coming down towards the end of lap 10. Still waiting for 12 cars to visit the pit lane today, and still 7 laps to tick off here in this race. These 2 drivers. Remains to be seen who's going to come out on top. Either way, it's going to be a great day for Conor Wagner, who's going to take a big championship lead of over 40 points, whatever happens, into the next race. And now we do have a bit of a differential. I wondered if they'd come down together. Well, Rod Clinard doesn't want to play for the leader for any longer. He wants to come in a bit earlier. He wants to make that pit stop now and maybe get that bit of an advantage while Wagner is still out there yet to make his stop. He's got to pray, of course, that he'll come out in clean air.
Yeah, let's see how his pit stop's gonna go. Lead for the number 45, as we see also TAC Turner Schroe in the pit lane, and let's see if Schroe is actually gonna get that leg of the Irish. You can see the 4 clover leaf in front of his car, as thank you Hugo for showcasing us that 4 clover leaf fast pit stop for the number 4 as he comes out of the pit lane. Let's see if he's gonna get out in traffic.
Looks like it is going to be traffic, unfortunately, for Stroll. Has got side by side. Clinard does get through on Kevin Sandiego. Now, how did that happen? Because Clinard is the one coming out of the pit lane. You'd expect him to be slow on the run up towards the Kemmel Straight there, but that was not the case at all. As the 88 just struggling a little bit there. But either way, Clinard is sort of in clean air at the moment. I'm sort of baffled as to how he's only lost 17.5 seconds there, but either way, short stops here today in this race, and only 4.4 seconds for Clinard there. That's the number that you've got to focus on for Wagner when he comes into the pit lane here in a few moments' time. These are possibly race deciding moments, because if either one of these two leaders can actually break away from the slipstream and get away, then the race might well be won if you can just continue that pace till the end. So a very important stop coming up for Wagner, but either he, maybe gains enough time to win the race, or doesn't lose enough time to lose it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know, but then again, I don't know how much Brian Vorse is telling on these guys here to say how much battling these guys can do, especially at the end of the race, given the fact that we saw Holland and Taylor and Wagner's incident at the Ramble Ring at the final lap. But hoping, and I know Brian a little bit, I think he's going to let them race as the best their possibilities coming to the final lap.
Rod Clinard is still being hounded by Kevin Sandiego at this stage. The 88 yet to come in, and so is the AM leader, which he now fixes.
Okay.
Ryan Pucciell comes into the pit lane. Still waiting for a few drivers to come in there, of course, and we'll see. Schroll actually got into a battle with Max Shabley on the exit of the pit lane there, so that's not particularly ideal for him, and he will have lost a bit of time on that one. I do think Pucciell is going to have a nice lead, and you can see it here. Schroll is still being slowed up, and even Takeshi Kita is starting to close on him. This AM Championship fight just spicing up that little bit more once again. Only 3 points separating Schroll and Kita coming into today, and they're barely separated by a second at the moment. You can see also the driver of Pucciell has gotten out quite a long way ahead of these guys, nearly 5 seconds ahead actually.
Yeah, which is surprising to say the very least. But I'm going to put something over here. Kevin Sandiego might be in a good position to retain a really good result. Maybe, I'm not going to say maybe challenge top 5, as now we can see Schroe on the inside, Shabley on the outside. Can he fend off that number 4 car? No, he cannot. So good from Schroe going to the top 10.
Sure, if I was seeing things before, but Kita, if I wasn't, has just dropped back quite substantially.
Yeah, jumped a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it might have just been me, but no, I do think Kita dropped back there. Let's see what happened. I wasn't imagining things, it looks like. Last source, that change of direction there on the brakes. He's lucky that he didn't get hit there, and he's quite lucky he could get around as well without damaging his car, but that's costly time, costly points for Takeshi Kita.
And you cannot afford to make those mistakes, especially this late in the championship.
Such a shame for Kita. He's dropped behind Joey Tebben in that 60 at the moment, who's closing in on Schroll here. expecting Brian Lowe and Brett Furman to be out around these guys as well, so it's all going to be very densely populated soon as Conor Wagner comes into the pit lane. It's the end of lap 11. We've only got 6 to go, and it's time for these drivers to come down pit road. We've got Lung, Patry and Santana, I think, is going to follow them in as well. Clinard is obviously going to stay out. 4.4 seconds is going to be the magic number for Conor Wagner if he wants to continue on leading this race. We've got side by side between Chablis and Stroll just behind. Stroll's going to hang on there. Wagner's stop was 4.5. The two very well matched, and Clinard on the exit of the pit lane here is just going to gain that little bit of time up the Kemmel Straight. The two of them, the two leaders, going to be absolutely nose to tail once again. The second half and the final laps of this race, so finely, so well poised by the looks of things at the moment. Clinard's so close behind Wagner, and in terms of the AM battle, Puchel is quite a way ahead of the rest. However, Brian Lowe comes out ahead of Stroll, and that is a bit of a surprise.
I wouldn't say I'm surprised given the fact that Stroll had to spend this time defending positions from Chablis. So, and if he got him down, slow down. Did he get a slow down in there? Could have gotten a slow down. Let's see what Chablis is going to do right now. Going to go into the outside. Will he break late?
Let's see, side by side, they're locked together again, and Stroll's on the inside, turns to the outside for the second part, but the inside again for Malmedy, which he's going to use to take back 9th place overall, and Max Chablis just struggles and fights over the curves there as Joey Tebbin's going to want a piece of the action now. He's very much involved, and Brett Furman might fancy his chances of maybe joining this fight by the end of the race. This AM Championship continues to excite, and this race in the AM field is really, really exciting at the moment. There's a lot going on back here.
Yeah, I wonder how frustrated Chablis is by losing time in ground to for everybody else in the pro feud in comparison to what Kevin Diego is, Kevin Santana is doing right now. So I see there might be a little bit of frustration in the number 14.
It's all there. Chablis in the background, so sideways, fighting the car on the exit of pit path. And up the hill towards Blanchimont again. This 4-car train is going to go down to the wire. There's going to be 4 laps to go when we get to the end, and we've got Wagner and Clinard to kind of look over as well here towards the end of this race. The two of them have ended up in draft range. I've got a good feeling about this race, and the fact that it might well come down to the very final lap between those two. However, you always do worry about teammates, how much they're actually going to fight each other. However, those two could well fight quite a lot. Let's see as Stroll makes a good run out of the bus stop chicane up towards La Source. This battle for second is hotting up, and he's going to go for it now. He doesn't want to wait for Lecombe, and so he's going to go for the inside line. Brian Lowe gives him space, and the two are going to run side by side down the hill and then towards the Kemmel Straight.
Who's going to yield through Eau Rouge?
Going to have to be Stroll. He tucks in behind. Chablis will gain a lot of momentum off of this, and he'll get the double slipstream as well. We've already seen 2 double overtakes in the last half an hour, and we're about to see a third because Chablis really gaining here. He'll want these places, and rather strangely, Stroll gives him some more slipstream as well to play with on the outside line. He's once again got the inside for the second part. There's contact with the championship leader, and Stroll hangs on. That was a heart-in-mouth moment for the Ford driver.
I honestly thought they were going to make contact in there going through Lecombs, and here goes Joey inside against Chablis. Will Chablis try to fight back? Absolutely, he was going to try to fight back, but how does Joey go through the outside? Does he go for the cutback? He does.
Lovely switchback from Tebbin down the inside into Pouon, although he decides not to go for it. Oh, Stroll wants to though, look at that. Straight down the inside of Pouon. He didn't even have that good of a run, but he wanted to take the chance anyway, and Brian Lowe had to resign himself to the outside line and had to lose the place, although he's fighting back again outside at pit path, not able to do it on that occasion, and Chablis now just getting offline. He gets slowed up by the two drivers in front, and Tebbin is going to be all over the back of the 14 at the moment. This is a great fight between them, but the championship leader once again prevails, and he just gains 2 crucial more points.
Yeah, you know, I think the difference might say in terms of you know, setup.
Tebbin's got damage. Sorry to cut across you there. Tebbin's got damage. definitely. It's around the outside at Blanchimont for Brian Lowe, making one of the moves of the race. What a fantastic move that was indeed. This battle for second does not end.
It does not, but I was gonna say, as Chambly goes into the pit lane, so he does have damage. He's gonna have to repair that car. I don't know if Tevin does have damage as well, but look, and this is the big difference. Look at the back wing. No!
Brian Lowe goes around. Oh, and he reverses nearly into the path of Joey Tebben and Brett Furman, who both go way out wide, and they go around him. Fortunately, they avoid him. Takeshi Kita is going to get in the slipstream here and fancy his chances maybe of making a move. This is what happened to Brian Lowe. A spin on the entry to La Source.
I wonder how associated it is with the low wing, though.
Brett Furman very slow there on the straight. He must have a slowdown. Brett Furman's got to have a slowdown with that kind of pace, and so has Tebben. Takeshi Kita makes up 2 places. That is a double overtake, I guess we can call it, but a double slowdown. I'm not entirely sure. Was that for maybe running wide out of La Source? I'm not entirely sure. However, that was in avoidance.
Oh, it is.
Either way,
it is.
It must have been.
Must have been. It has to be.
I didn't see them go off at Oruju Radion, so it must have been. And Takeshi Kita all of a sudden is into 3rd place, and 5 minutes ago it was looking like he was going to take a big hit in terms of points, but he just gained a load back there.
Yeah, but the second sector might favor Tebben a little bit because he has higher wing on the car. So look at Tebben having better performance around the corners than Kita. Kita's setup looks like it is more defined for streamlined speed performance, and he's going to struggle on these corners as Tebben is going to have better lines.
By the way, Joey obviously came to talk to us before the race and said he's never finished a race in the Precision Racing League at Spa, and he's about to do it possibly inside the top 3 here, or at least he's battling over it at the moment anyway. Takeshi Kita's going to have his work cut out in terms of defending this one at the moment. Tebben all over the back, and Brett Furman not too far away, and will be looking to get involved at any sniff of an opportunity. Through Blanchimont they go. Top chicane. It doesn't look like there's going to be any move for the moment. Tebben closes in under brakes, but I think you're absolutely right about the wings. Tebben maybe does have that little bit more downforce on board.
Here we go.
Here are the leaders. Rod Clinard down the inside of Conor Wagner, and the 2 exchange places. Well, how much of an exchange is it, and how much of a battle is it? Because these 2 are teammates. You always do think about teammates and wonder how hard are they really going to fight over this, especially considering Conor Wagner is in the lead of a championship and trying to win one. How hard is Rod Clinard going to fight to take this race win?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too, given the fact that Connor is going to overly extend his margin against David Holland in this race. So I think Connor is probably going to race. I hope he races with the brain and knows that he doesn't have to overcommit into corners or overdrive the car to try to get a win a race. Of course, it does massage your ego that you're winning a race, but other than that, you have to think about the championship, and the championship is swinging in your favor.
It absolutely is. This is going to be a big point haul at the moment for Conor Wagner, who's not scored lower than 33 points throughout a race so far this season. This is actually yet another exceptional performance in what has been a great season. He's going to pull away from David Holland with this result right here, whether it's first or second. But how hard is he going to fight over this one? And is Clinard going to be minded to maybe snatch a win off him for his own personal glory here, despite the team game that's clearly going on? They both slide massively out of the bus stop chicane, and the white flag will be waving. One more lap to go around Spa-Francorchamps. Who is going to be in first lap? On board with Conor Wagner, trying to get that best exit possible out of La Source on the run down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. This is going to be the first part of the story, but certainly not the end of it. And not even at the Kemmel Straight are we going to know the name of the race winner just yet. There's going to be a big battle throughout the entirety of this final lap. And Conor Wagner's not going to go down fighting here. He's going to go to the outside line. He's going to try and take the lead away from Rod Clinard, who might let him have this one and might try and get him back at the bus stop chicane, although it's always a risky one. He's going to fight for it now instead. He brakes late, almost too late. He just about pulls it up in time, although it's too late. And Conor Wagner goes through. He's got a gap, and he might be able to run with this to the flag.
Wow, what a brain move Conor Wagner made. Rod Clinard could miss the entry in the transition of the Lecombe chicane completely and botched it at the number 45 and eventually had to yield the position to the championship leader. I don't know if there were team orders as well, but I want to believe in the foreman and the ladder. But Clinard has a little bit of a room to go, and Tabin has to fend off from now Brett Thurman as well.
Yeah, it looks like Takeshi Gita has got himself away, and he's made himself pretty clear in that third place in that AM category. This margin, though, might just be too far for Rod Clinard now. He gave it all into Lecombe. He broke so late. It was too late in the end, but you can't say that he didn't give it 100% today. Conor Wagner, in the end, looks like he's going to just about come on top. He's going to get closed in on the run down towards the bus stop chicane, but it would have to be the mother of all dive bombs to deny him this race win now. And surely it's going to be another victory here in the Formula 3 Series for Conor Wagner. Into the final bus stop chicane he goes, and the number 51, Conor Wagner, comes across the line first yet again in the Precision Racing League Formula 3 Series. He extends his championship lead and takes his 6th win in a remarkable season for this driver. Meanwhile in AM, it's going to be Ryan Pruchell who once again makes this remarkable championship even closer with his 2nd win of the PRL Formula 3 season. A great race in the end, topped out by 2 great drivers and a last lap pass as well.
Fantastic race, and Pruchell brain, a very big brain race. Very smart race to get that win on the AM class, as we see Aaron McDonough and Peter Newhook battling for the last spot in the AM class in the field, even though Newhook a little bit far behind to try to make any moves.
He is just that little bit too far back, and that little dip onto the dirt on the outside of Stabilo there might just do enough for Adam McDonald to hold on to this place. 5 driver was one of the first drivers to come in here, but had to make a 2nd stop, I believe, and it was certainly a longer stop either way, whether he made 1 or 2, I'm not sure, but the 2nd or only one was certainly a bit longer than maybe it should have been. But they are going to be the final 2 drivers to finish on the lead lap, and they're going to end in accident, I'm afraid. Anna McDonald getting things wrong through the penultimate corner. Newhook goes straight into the back of him, but he will get in a place. It's going to be 8th in AM for Newhook and the top 15. And Adam McDonald loses yet another place in that race. But there's his teammate Turner Schroll. Not a bad day for him. In terms of actual points tally, his gap has actually gone up from 3 points in the championship, but it's got a whole lot closer in AM, as I'm sure we'll talk about post-race. Conor Wagner, though, is race winner yet again, I should say. Less than a second to Rod Clinard on this occasion. Leo Ho Ying Lung was 3rd in the end, ahead of Caleb Patry and Kevin Santana, rounding out the top 5. Kevin Sandy, there you go, rounds out your pro drivers who had a relatively clean and green race in the end there, with Ryan Pruchell taking his 2nd AM win of the season ahead of championship leader Schroll. Then it was Takeshi Kita in 9th, followed by Joey Tebben, rounding out the top 10. He held off Brett Furman late on. Brian Lowe dropped to 5th. Steve Guerrieri recovered well from his contact earlier to finish 13th. Ross Cato's avoiding driving, got him to 14th place. Had Peter Newhook and Adam McDonald, who had that battle to the line. They were the final 2 cars on the lead lap. Max Shabley finished a couple of laps down, as did Brad Miller and Tyler Campbell. They saw the checkered flag at least. Justin Negretz did not. Neither did Guillaume Potvin. Neither did McLaughlin, Richard Swindells, Blake Ziti, Lucio Vargas, or Frankie Arvelu. who all retired at the end of lap 1, or most of them did anyway. It was a remarkable race, a fantastically entertaining race here at Spa, and one that came down right to the very end. We'll, of course, have a chat with some of these drivers post-race here in the Precision Racing League Formula 3 Series after this Spa-Francorchamps 17 laps around here. Turner Stroll now joins us from second place in the AM category. Turner, good to have you here in the broadcast booth. Tell us a little bit about those final few laps there. I mean, it was crazy battling in the AM category, I have to say. It was thoroughly enjoyable to watch, but how was it to race in here at Spa today?
Thanks, man. It was a ton of fun, as always, with these guys. At the beginning they were trying to keep Ryan behind and ultimately just didn't have the pace that he had. And then there at the end, Kita, I saw he spun, but I was definitely sweating a little bit, worrying about his pace there at the end. And then unfortunate for Brian just spinning there in P2. So yeah, awesome battle. Love this league and love the competition. It's always such a blast.
It certainly is. I mean, you obviously outlined Takeshi and Ryan in particular on that occasion, but that is, of course, because you're fighting in a title fight with them. You didn't quite have the pace to match Ryan today, and in terms of the championship overall, do you feel like you have it within you to take this title home with 3 races to go?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely really want to. It's all just kind of trying to manage and stay in it till the end there. So, on any given night, I think us 3 have some awesome pace, and the battles there, are going to go down to the wire. So, excited to see what happens, and hopefully it goes our way. But if not, these guys are awesome competitors.
It will be very exciting to find out who comes out on top, of course, Turner. But congratulations on your drive today. It's been great to watch you out there. Congratulations on P2, and thanks very much for coming up to have a chat with us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks very much. Turner Stroll there, second place here today at Spa. Now we've got RaceSpotTV regular Joey Tebben joining us, this time having been behind the wheel. Joey, fourth place today. Just missed out on that podium, but you've gotten to the end of a PRL race at Spa, so you can't be too disappointed.
Yeah, that was the accomplishment I was going for here. I don't think I could have fought for the podium. I don't know what happened with this setup that I put on the car, but I was just like a rock on the straights. I was like a second lap slower than everybody else on the straights. So I was just dead in the water. I had nothing for Takeshi. I actually needed his help at the end because he gave me a little bit of a draft down the back straight to make sure Thurman couldn't catch me, because he was another driver who was just a second faster than me on the straights. But it was a race of survival, and I survived, and that was the number one accomplishment, and I got fourth out of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I was going to ask you about that, actually, because we did certainly notice that you were, we particularly noticed it when you were so close behind everyone through the corners.
Yeah, I had whatever this Robert Ridgway setup was. I had much higher downforce. I was much faster through the corners, but unfortunately at Spa, when you're faster through the corners, that does absolutely nothing for you once the straights start, and that's where I died, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very difficult race for you, I can imagine. But you got to the end of a race. Yeah, who can complain about that? Joey, thanks very much for coming to join us. And congratulations on P4 today.
And congratulations to Takeshi in P3. He's the championship contender of the group, so you got to give him a shout out as a team representative.
Absolutely, team player always. Joey Tebben, fourth place here today at Spa. That, of course, in the AM category for both Turner and Joey there. Doesn't look like we've got any other drivers just for the moment joining us here in the interview booth, so that might just be just about it from us here at Spa here tonight. It's been another great week of Precision Racing League racing, and there's more coming up next week, of course. Circuit Zolder coming up next week here in the F3s. It will be 11th of August, of course. Same time, same place. Make sure you join us for 3 series. In terms of this week, though, here at RaceSpotTV, in terms of Precision Racing League action, that is just about going to do us. Make sure you join us next week, of course. We've got all the usual series. With NASCAR coming up next Sunday, we'll be racing once again in the NASCAR series at Michigan on this occasion for round 7 of that championship. So look forward to your company then. For now, O'Leary, Lorenzo Bonder alongside me, and Hugo Luis behind the cameras. Until we see you next time here at RaceSpotTV, it's goodbye for now.